From generation to generation, Egypt has been benefiting from the resources of the Nile River. However, Ethiopia has not been allowed to use the benefits that the water provides. It literally feels as if your neighbor is telling you to look after your cow, yet to not touch the milk. But for how long? Egypt has the biggest amount of groundwater in Africa, 52,000 kilometers cubed to be precise. But Ethiopia has only 12,000 kilometers cubed. Egypt can live off their natural groundwater supply sustainably for over 900 years, according to their current usage ratio, which is 200 liters per person per day, while the average water supply in Ethiopia is 20 liters per person a day. Egypt has 2,900 kilometers of coastal area, while Ethiopia is a landlocked nation. The average annual cotton crop amounts to about 1.5 million bales of 478 pounds net. The dry and humid climate of Egypt is not sustainable for cotton farming because there are large amounts of water lost due to evaporation. Cotton farming requires considerable quantities of water. Egypt consumes the second most amount of water for cotton farming when compared to other cotton farming countries. Egypt consumes the second most amount of water for cotton farming when compared to other cotton farming countries. Egypt consumed 3,805 meters cubed per ton, which is at least 1,000 meters cubed per ton more than the third highest water consumer in the world. The global average of water used for cotton farming is about 1,300 meters cubed per ton. This means that Egypt is currently using over twice as much water to farm cotton compared to other countries. The current cotton production methods in Egypt are environmentally unsustainable. Egypt can even afford the luxury of having a well-renowned golf course, which the grass is also maintained by the water from the River Nile. 100% of the electricity needs of Egypt are met and covered, with electricity usage amounting to 1,510 kilowatts per hour per person annually. Ethiopia's coverage gives 35% access to electricity, and the average usage is 69 kilowatts per hour per person annually. While Ethiopia struggles to feed her own people, Egypt has been producing fruits and vegetables for Europe and other countries. Egypt has managed to improve the life of their people by raising the average annual income per person to $14,023. This is not a bad thing, it's great. However, it is at the detriment of Ethiopia's mass population, as the average annual income in Ethiopia is only $2,701. Egypt planted a record 0.8 million hectares of rice farms. Egypt's agricultural sector remains one of the most productive in the world, despite the small area of pastures, arable land, and insufficient water supplies. Farmers do not have to pay for water used in irrigation. Did you know that there are many freshwater lakes in Egypt? Using water from the River Nile, Egypt has constructed many man-made lakes. In case you didn't know, just to name a few: Lake Nasir, Manzala Lake, Mariut Lake, Lake Bardawil, Lake Moiris or Karun Lake, Wadi Al Rayyan Lakes, Edko Lake, Toshka Lakes, Great Bitter Lake or Al Bahariyat Al Mura, Borolus Lake, Wadi El Natrun Lakes, and many more. So far, I have provided facts and statistics to show the disproportionate distribution of the benefits of the River Nile between Egypt and neighboring countries. Now, I want to share with you something called the Toshka Project. Toshka Project is a water reservoir system, one of the world's largest systems, designed to have a maximum static head of 175 feet, which guarantees its operation when the water level in the Lake Nasir reaches its lowest level storage, which is 445 feet. The Toshka Project is a 20-story high reinforced concrete pumping station, 462 feet in length, 132 feet in width, and 231 feet high. The lower 8 stories, 165 feet high of its height, permanently submerged underwater. 24 pumps each discharge 600 cubic feet per second. Lake Nasir, created in 1970, is 360 miles long and ranges in widths between 7 and 20 miles. It is the largest man-made freshwater lake in the world and the world's third largest reservoir within the area of 1,550 square miles and the storage capacity of 5.97 trillion cubic feet. The lake reached full storage capacity in 1981. The whole of Egypt's civilization has sustained itself for such a long time while using the water from the River Nile. Yet, Egypt is still adamant and demanding the water portions gifted to it by the colonial era in which Egypt had ties, while Ethiopia remained an uncolonized sovereign, remains the same. Closing. As an independent country, Ethiopia does not respect any colonial agreement regarding this water share. On May 7th of 1929, the agreement was made between Egypt and Anglo-Egyptian Sudan. This agreement included that Egypt and Sudan utilized 48 and 4 billion cubic meters of the Nile flow per year, respectively. The flow of the Nile during January 20 to July 15th was a dry season, and it would be reserved for Egypt. Egypt reserves the right to monitor the Nile flow in the upstream countries. Egypt assumed the right to undertake Nile River-related projects without the consent of upper riparian states. Egypt assumed the right to veto any construction projects that would affect her interests adversely. In effect, this agreement gave Egypt complete control over the Nile during the dry season, when water is most needed for agricultural irrigation. It also severely limits the amount of water allotted Sudan and provides no water to any of the other riparian states. The 1959 Nile Waters Agreement between Sudan and Egypt for full control utilization of the Nile waters include this. The controversy on the quantity of average annual Nile flow was settled and agreed to be about 84 billion cubic meters measured at Aswan High Dam in Egypt. The agreement allowed the entire average annual flow of the Nile to be shared among the Sudan and Egypt at 18.5 and 55.5 billion cubic meters respectively. Annual water loss due to evaporation and other factors were agreed to be about 10 billion cubic meters. This quantity would be deducted from the Nile yield before share was assigned to Egypt and Sudan. When Egypt built a dam to create lakes, it was never discussed with any countries who have ties with the River Nile, while Ethiopia welcomed Egypt and Sudan to have their say when building the Gird Dam. The truth could be bitter, as Ethiopia does not actually need permission from any country to build a dam, as the source and the beginning of the River Nile starts in Ethiopia. Ethiopia built a dam in her territory with her resources for the benefit of the people in the country. We will start filling the dam at the end of July.
With freshly picked vines. Malnutrition now stalks northern Ethiopia.
When he died, I felt I had lost everything. My family buried his body. Everyone is in hardship. We all have so little to eat because there was no harvest this season. Everyone is suffering.
The UN says in one area, 2 babies have been dying every day. Bertukan, one of many mothers, left inconsolable. At this well, things are getting desperate. People travel here from miles around to give their livestock a drink. But the water table has fallen to almost nothing. 30, maybe 40 meters down, it's full of silt and mud. The well almost dry. Help is arriving, too late for some, and in too small a quantity for the scale of the emergency. At this food distribution centre, 2,000 people wait for rations that will last them a month.